Timcast IRL will be live in Miami with Patrick Bet David, Donald Trump Jr., Matt Gaetz, and Luke Rudkowski. Join us there. Get your tickets by clicking the link in the description below or by going to timcast.com. We have this story from Politico. Owen Shroyer, InfoWars host and colleague of Alex Jones, gets 60 days for January 6 misdemeanor. The judge contended that Shroyer played a role in amping up the mob at a sensitive moment during the riot. I just want to address that subhead right away. Owen Shroyer was not criminally charged for incitement or anything pertaining to what other people did. Owen, I believe you were charged for just being in a restricted area.
So do you want to dig into this? Do you want to go into the details right now?
I want that to be really clear right away. The judge contended you amped people up, so they're sending you to prison for a crime you did not commit. A crime they did not charge you with.
That's correct. I ended up facing one charge in this proceeding, and that was entering and remaining on restricted grounds. And without going too into the weeds in this, for obvious reasons, find me one other person in my situation that's facing those charges. You can't. So what am I left to assume? I'm being targeted. What else am I left to assume when I'm the only one that is having this result? And what's interesting, and we can, whenever you want to, Tim, I mean, we can dig into this sentencing document, but when you go back and we're trying to get the transcription of today's court events to be expedited because there was no cameras or recordings allowed in the courtroom. So there's a lot of stuff in there that I think is going to wow the people. So we're trying to get the transcription of those proceedings published as quickly as possible, because what you find out is that the government is trying to have their cake and eat it too. They're trying to argue that this is not a free speech case. That is their argument, that this is not a free speech case. And yet at every point in their presentation today, their argument was based off of something that I said. There are 4 different sections in this sentencing memo, 4 different headliners. Every single one of them is based off of my speech. Now, what's also interesting about this is they have to admit in the document, now they won't say Alex Jones's name for whatever reason.
They call him Person One.
So he's Person One. Person One. That's like, that should be his new moniker, is like Person One. He should just like own that. Person One. But they admit it. They even have a quote in here. Tried to de-escalate. So they quote in the document that we tried to de-escalate, and then their final argument is that I tried to amp it up. Which one is it?
Well, but hold on there, good sir. Weren't you charged for being on restricted grounds?
Yes.
What does amping up a crowd have to do with being in the wrong place? If a guy steals a bottle of wine from a liquor store and then the prosecutor says he once yelled at a dog, I'm going to be like, yelling at a dog's not illegal. Saying mean words to a dog has nothing to do with him stealing wine. Why is it even a part of a sentencing document? Because it's clearly about your speech, who you are, what you do. And, look, I got a photo here. NBC News posted this. It says U.S. District Court for D.C. And there's a red circle over an individual that I guess they're saying it's you, right?
Yes.
There's a whole bunch of other people that are there, including Alex Jones standing right next to you. Are they going to criminally charge Alex Jones?
Well, I'd prefer not even to answer that question.
I know, but my you look at the charges, you look at the sentencing document. It is I would say a reasonable person concludes when they read to that document, they highlight your speech before, during, and after. Well, hold on there a minute. Your speech about politics. It's not like it's one thing if your speech was, yes, I did this thing, haha, and I'll get away with it too. No. It was you on a show saying the election was stolen and things like that. And they said that was why you should go to prison for the charge of being on restricted grounds. Completely unrelated. If they had charged you for incitement, perhaps that would have made, they didn't.
Exactly.
Because nothing you said was legal incitement.
Exactly.
I should say illegal incitement.
And this is a serious topic, and not to get too campy, but the reason why you joked at the top of the show about if you're a member of the federal government, you can't tune in tonight is because the joke is that clearly the federal government listens to everything I say. And this document is proof positive. And there's even another level of irony to this. I have been banned off every social media platform, just like Alex Jones. We have to create our own platform at ban.video just so our shows can exist. So, and we now know that the federal government was pursuing these censorship issues thanks to Elon Musk, the Twitter files, the Facebook files. And so how ironic is this? The federal government pushes to have InfoWars, Alex Jones, myself, all censored off the social media platforms, and then they still tune in every day.
But here's a question. I mean, is there I got to ask a lawyer about this. I was earlier in the show, for those that are just watching this segment, I said, if you, I hereby revoke authorization to timcast.com if you are a federal agent of the government or an agent of the federal government. And if you watch the uncensored show, you'll be in violation of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. I'm kidding. By all means, you are allowed to watch it. But I really wonder about that. Is there like a legal way to do that? Because what you guys do is you say, if the authorization for access to ban.video is only for non-governmental employees, and if you're an employee of the federal government, you must subscribe at the $1,000 per day level.
Let's start millions.
Make them really pay for it to watch you guys.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be like, well, we can't afford that now. They'll do it anyway. I mean, of course, it's ridiculous.
They'll print the money, right? They'll find out. Yeah. They'll find out where it comes from.
Well, but, do you know what's the deal? When are they gonna when do they lock you up?
So there's still some nuts and bolts to this. There's still some loose ends to this. If people want to get a lot of the information, myself and my lawyer had a press conference outside of the courthouse today after the proceedings were finished. You can go find that exclusively at ban.video. And myself and my lawyer, I mean, we go into it. We go into the weeds. We go into the nuts and bolts. And so really all the information can be found there.
Is like a link or is it?
Yeah, if you go to ban.video, I'm sure I've been running around all day. I haven't gone to check myself, but I'm sure they have it in the front fold or in the scrolling marquee. So I know it should be easy to find, or at infowars.com. But as far as what's next, we do plan to appeal. There's still some questions as far as, we're assuming that we're going to be able to appeal. It'd be like almost as shocking as the incarceration, almost as shocking as the sentence if they didn't let me appeal. But I mean, at this point, who knows? Right. They may deny the appeal. And I will also tell you that we believe that this is an important enough case to make it to the Supreme Court. And maybe that's where we prefer this case ends up, is at the Supreme Court, because we believe it is that big of a free speech issue. For the time being, and my lawyer let the court today know that we plan to appeal. And so at least for the time being, even though I think the government was kind of biting their cheek, they are going to allow me to not be incarcerated and remain under my strict probation during the appeals process, the same probation I've been under. Now, again, this could all change, like the wind could change directions, right? And so when that happens, they'll set a date that I have to turn myself in, and the rest will we'll learn from there. There's still some nuts and bolts, I think, that we have to kind of find out for the rest of the week. I'll have more answers to that if people want to find my show, and I'll keep them updated with my lawyer at ban.video. I host the War Room. But here's the thing, Tim. There's two levels of me when I look at this and when I think about this and where it impacts me. Obviously, the personal level is I don't want to go to jail. I don't believe I belong in jail. I would even tell you that I believe that this case should be done, and I've served my probation with good behavior. Nonetheless, that's not the result that we got today. Then there's the other side of me that's just an American citizen. I remove myself from the picture, and it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart that future Americans may have to suffer through the same fate or worse. It breaks my heart that a young journalist coming up or a talk show is coming up is going to have to censor themselves, chill their free speech, or be afraid.
That's the thing.
Be afraid of what they're going to say.
That's the thing that people really have missed with this whole situation. And again, we talked about first order thinking earlier. Everyone that's like, oh, it's fine. They're all guilty of first order thinking because it's not their political party. It's not something they agree with. This is going to be used against first conservatives. if the government gets away with it, right? So this is the test, the small little, see what we can get away with. Every time the government successfully does something that is questionably illegal or illegal, that only ensures that they're going to do more later. There's never a time where the government says, oh, this isn't a new power. This is only in this case. They're going to look at this as, oh no, now we can go after people that say that skirt the line or whatever. There's always going to be an escalation. And this is going to turn around. If conservatives get into office again, this will be used on the left. Absolutely.
I mean,
and I'm going to endorse it.
Well, it's going to be used on the left by the left.
Yeah,
That's true.
Yep.
I just to reference, like every communist revolution, the first group to be purged is the revolutionaries.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
The most people that die from communism are communists.
Thankfully.
right. When
Careful now.
when you're talking about evil authoritarians who go around murdering people, we want that to not be the case. And in these revolutions, I mean, look at Robespierre. Live by the sword as it goes. When a revolution happens, you now have factions vying for political power to have their vision come true. And the meme is there's like a bunch of people standing around all with the same thought bubble saying, I can't wait for the collapse to happen so that my ideology will take over. Well, what happens when the system collapses is all these different groups now say, my way, no, my way, no, my way. And then someone gets slightly more political power and says, we've got to take out anybody who fomented revolution because they're our only threat. The regular people who sit by and don't do anything, they're no threat to the machine. So if these Antifa leftists and crackpots get their way, they're going to be the first to be locked up in federal prisons and kept away from sunlight and communications because they're the real risk to the new machine.
Well, and Monica, you were getting into this earlier, and it goes back to the one train of thought. I don't forgot the phrase that you used, Tim, the one line of thinking here. But, okay, look at some policies of the left. What do they want? Well, they want to, let's just use the Second Amendment. They want to disarm Americans. Okay, so I always ask, how many people have to die for you to disarm every American? How many people are going to have to die in that process? And are you going to be allowed to use guns? Are you going to be allowed to use guns to disarm the fellow Americans? And so why does the left seek power? Because their policies inherently need power. It is a necessity to have totalitarian control in order to achieve the communist doctrine.
And so for all of these people who think they can go along to get along, I'm on their quote unquote right side right now, they're feeding the alligator, hoping that the alligator eats them last, right? And so we've seen this throughout history. History repeats itself because human nature is what it is, right? Yeah. But Tim, to your point about how the different factions then end up cannibalizing each other. Right now in the world, you've got three major forces, and they're all on the same side now to knock off the United States of America, which is the biggest obstacle to their globalist plans. You've got the globalist Marxist revolution. You've got the CCP, which is a form of it, but unto itself. And you've got the Islamists. And so all three factions want to see the end of Western civilization, certainly the end of America. So they're all working together now to accomplish that. But once they knock over America, assuming that they're able to accomplish it, then they're going to go to war with each other. And that's going to be a global conflagration that you don't want to be a part of.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.